Therefore, if someone thinks that he can chant Kali, Kali or Durga, Durga and it is the same as Hare Krishna, that is the greatest offense. Third, to disobey the orders of the spiritual master. Fourth, to blaspheme the Vedic literature or literature in pursuance of the Vedic version. Fifth, to consider the glories of chanting Hare Krishna to be imagination. Sixth, to give some interpretation on the holy name of the Lord. Seventh, to commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy name of the Lord. Because by chanting the holy name of the Lord, one can be freed from all kinds of sinful reactions. It should not be taken that one may continue to act sinfully and after that chant Hare Krishna to neutralize his sins. Such a dangerous mentality is very offensive and should be avoided. 8. To consider the chanting of Hare Krishna as one of the auspicious ritualistic activities which are offered in the Vedas as fruitive activities. Karma Kanda. 9th. To instruct a faithless person about the glories of the holy name. Anyone can take part in chanting the holy name of the Lord, but in the beginning one should not be instructed about the transcendental potency of the Lord. Those who are too sinful cannot appreciate the transcendental glories of the Lord, and therefore it is better not to instruct them in this matter. 10th. To not have complete faith in the chanting of the holy names, and to maintain
Hare
material
Krishna
attachments,
Chaitanya
even after
Prabhu
understanding so
Nityananda
many
Krishna
instructions
Krishna
on
Hare
this
Hare.
matter. Every devotee who claims to be a Vaishnava must guard against these offenses in order to quickly achieve the desired success.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Ram Hare Krishna. Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram Hare Krishna Hare Ram Hare Krishna Hare Ram Hare Krishna Hare Hare Ram Hare Krishna Hare Ram Hare Ram Hare Krishna Hare Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram Hare Krishna Hare Ram Hare Ram Hare Ram Ram Hare Krishna Hare Ram Hare Krishna Hare Ram Hare Krishna Hare Ram Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Ram Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Ram Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Ram Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram Hare Krishna Hare Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram Hare Krishna Hare Ram Hare Krishna Hare Ram Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Ram Hare Krishna Ram Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Ram Hare Krishna Hare Ram Hare Krishna Ram Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Ram Hare Krishna Hare Ram Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare Krishna. Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram. Sit properly. Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna. Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna. Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna. Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna. Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. It's 10 a.m. here on the East Coast of the United States. Welcome, everybody. It's Sunday, August 23rd, 2026. And welcome, everyone, to the reading of the Delhi edition of the Srimad Bhagavatam, the 1962 Delhi edition of the Srimad Bhagavatam by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Śrīla Prabhupāda, the founder and Acharya of the Krishna Consciousness movement, also known as the Hare Krishna movement, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. I would like to introduce our speaker. The class is being conducted by His Grace Yaśodā-nandana Dāsa, who is a senior disciple of Śrīla Prabhupāda. He saw Śrīla Prabhupāda as a teenager and soon joined the Hare Krishna movement in the 1960s. He received first initiation from Śrīla Prabhupāda in August 1969. He was instrumental in funding the construction of 3 major temples: the Krishna Balaram Mandir in Vrindavan, India, the Mayapur Chandrodaya Mandir in Mayapur, West Bengal, and the Sri Sri Radha Madan Mohan Temple in Hyderabad, Andhra Pradesh. He traveled extensively throughout South India with Guru Kripa Swami in 1972 and 1973, and in 1976 with Achyutananda Swami. Also, I would like to add that he was instrumental in the funding of those temples with Guru Kripa Swami. He was also made in charge of the installation of the deities in the Hyderabad temple in 1976 and the temple in Fiji in 1977. In late 1976, Śrīla Prabhupāda selected him to manage the Bhaktivedanta Swami Gurukul in Vrindavan, and he also founded the Hare Krishna Society, which you are taking part in today. So without further delay, I would like to turn the program over to him. And just as a reminder, please keep your microphones muted unless you're asking a question or making a comment.
Thank you very much, Raghava Prabhu. Today we will be discussing, as part of this program, celebrating the disappearance day of Gaurīdāsa Pandit and Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī Prabhupāda. As we know, Śrīla Prabhupada many times put great emphasis on respecting and offering our homages and obeisances to these great acharyas. As a matter of fact, when Śrīla Prabhupada started his preaching program in New York in 1966, one of the first things he did is introduce the Om Jnana prayers, Vandeham prayers, so that devotees would learn the process of offering obeisances to these great acharyas or spiritual masters in our disciplic succession. So this is what we'll be doing today. First, we'll be reading about Rūpa Gosvāmī Prabhupāda. We will be reciting a few selected verses in glorification of Rūpa Gosvāmī. Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rūpa Kada Mahyam Dadati Svapadantikam. From the Sri Prema Bhakti Chandrika by Narottam Das Thakur. When will Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī give me shelter of his lotus feet? Because he understood the innermost desire of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He was able to establish his mission in this world and is very dear to the Lord. Adadhana Srinam Dhanter Idam Vihachip Punaha Punaha Srimad Rūpa Padam Bhoja Dhulishyam Janma Janmani. This is from the Sri Mukta Charita by Raghunath Das Goswami. Clasping a straw between my teeth, I repeatedly begged to attain the dust of the lotus feet of Srimad Rūpa Goswami, birth after birth. Next, Sri Rūpa Manjari Kyata Yasid Vrindavana Pura, Sadhya Rūpakya Goswami Bhutva Prakatatam Iyat. This is from the Gaur Ganosha Dipika, text 180. She was known in Vrindavana as Rūpa Manjari, who has now appeared as Rūpa Goswami. Lalita is chief among the Sakis who make up Radharani's entourage, and Rūpa Manjari is the foremost among those Sakis who follow Lalita. It is for this reason that in the Gaura Lila, Rūpa Goswami is the chief amongst the 6 Goswamis. In the Sheshakanda of the Chaitanya Bhagavata, the Lord revealed himself to Dabir Kash and recognizing their greatness, released them from their bondage. He then named them Rūpa and Sanatana from Chaitanya Bhagavata, Canto 1, Chapter 2, text 171-172. Then 2 great fortunate souls came to the spot where the Lord was. The 2 brothers were named Sakar Malik and Rūpa. The Lord looked upon them with compassionate eyes from Chaitanya Bhagavata, Canto 3, Chapter 9, text 238-239. Vrindavaniyam kalarasa kalivartam kalena luptam nijashakti muktaha sancharya rupe vyatanot punasa prabhorvido pragivaloka srishtim. Just as the Lord enlightened the heart of Lord Brahma with the details of the creation, and thus made the manifestation of the cosmos possible, so did Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu eagerly impregnate the heart of Rūpa Goswami with spiritual potency, so that he could revive Krishna's Vrindavana pastimes, which had almost been lost to memory, from Chaitanya Charitamrita 2:19:1. Hridiyasya pranaya pravartito ham varakarupopi tasya harehe padakamalam vande Chaitanya devasya. I worship the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, known as Lord Chaitanya Deva. For by his inspiration I have set out to write this book, even though I am nothing but an ignorant wretch. From Bhakti-rasamrita Sindhu 1:1-2. Srila Prabhupada reveals the glories of Srila Rūpa Goswami. Sri Rup Sanatana Bhatta Raghunath, Sri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dāsa Raghunath. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. The instructing spiritual masters are Sri Rūpa Goswami, Sri Sanatana Goswami, Sri Bhatta Raghunath, Sri Jiva Goswami, Sri Gopal Bhatta Goswami, and Srila Raghunath Das Goswami. This is from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Adilila, Chapter 1, text 36. Sri Rupa Raghunath Pade Yaro Ash, Chaitanya Charitamrita Kahe Krishna Das. Praying at the lotus feet of Sri Rupa and Sri Raghunath, always desiring their mercy, I, Krishna Das, narrate Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, following in their footsteps. From Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Adilila, Chapter 1, text 110. Yahaoete painu Raghunath Mahashai, Jahaoete painu Sri Sarupa Shrai. Translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. By his mercy, I have attained the shelter of the great personality Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, and by his mercy, I have found the refuge of Sri Swarup Damodar. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Anyone desiring to become expert in the service of Sri Radha and Krishna should always aspire to be under the guidance of Swarup Damodar Goswami, Rūpa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, and Raghunath Das Goswami. To come under the protection of the Goswamis, one must get the mercy and grace of Nityananda Prabhu. The author has tried to explain this fact in these two verses from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi-lila, chapter 5, text 202. Sri Rūpa Gunachara Nera Ebal, Yaha Smriti Siddhahai Vanchita Shakal. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. The lotus feet of Sri Rūpa Goswami and Raghunath Das Goswami are my source of strength. Remembering their lotus feet can fulfill all one's desires. From Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi-lila, chapter 8, text 84. Anupam Vallabha Sri Rup Sanatana Etina Shakavrikshera Paschime Sarvottama. Translation. On the western side were the 43rd, 44th, and 45th branches, Sri Sanatana, Sri Rūpa, and Anupama. They were the best of all. Purport. Sri Anupam was the father of Srila Jiva Goswami and youngest brother of Sri Sanatana Goswami and Sri Rūpa Goswami. His former name was Vallabha, but after Lord Chaitanya met him, he gave him the name Anupam. Because of working in the Muslim government, these three brothers were given the title Malik. Our personal family is connected with the Maliks of Mahatma Gandhi Road in Calcutta, and we often used to visit their Radha Govinda temple. They belong to the same family as we do. Our family Gotra, or original genealogical line is the Gautama Gotra, or line of disciples of Gautama Muni, and our surname is De. But due to their accepting the post of zamindars in the Muslim government, they received the title Malik. Similarly, Rūpa, Sanata, and Vallabha were also given the title Malik. Malik means Lord. Just as the English government gives rich and respectable persons the title Lord, so the Muslims give the title Malik to rich, respectable families that have intimate connections with the government. The title Malik is found not only among the Hindu aristocracy, but also amongst Muslims. This title is not restricted to a particular family, but is given to different families and caste. The qualifications for receiving it are wealth and respectability. Sanatana Goswami and Rūpa Goswami belong to the Bharadvaja Gotra, which indicates that they belong either to the family or disciplic succession of Bharadvaja Muni. As members of the Krishna Consciousness movement, we belong to the family or disciplic succession of Saraswati Goswami, and thus we are known as Saraswatas. Obeisances are therefore offered to the spiritual master as Saraswata Deva, or a member of the Saraswata family, Namaste Saraswati Deve, whose mission is to broadcast the cult of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Gauravani Pracharine, and to fight with impersonalists and voidists, Nirvishesha Shunyavadi, Paschatya Deshatarine. This was the occupational duty of Sanatana Goswami, Rūpa Goswami, and Anupam Goswami. The genealogical table of Sanatana Goswami, Rūpa Goswami, and Vallabha Goswami can be traced back to the 12th century Shakabda. when a gentleman of the name Sarvagnya appeared in a very rich and opulent Brahmana family in the province of Karnataka. He had two sons named Aniruddhara Rupeshvara and Harihara, who were both bereft of their kingdoms and thus obliged to reside in the highlands. The son of Rupeshvara, who was named Padmanabha, moved to a place in Bengal known as Nehati on the bank of the Ganges. There he had 5 sons, of whom the youngest, Mukunda, had a well-behaved son named Kumaradeva, who was the father of Rūpa, Sanatana, and Vallabha. Kumaradeva lived in Bakla Chandradvipa, which was in the district of Jessore and is now known as Fatehjabad. Of his many sons, 3 took to the path of Vaishnavism. Later, Sri Vallabha and his elder brothers, Sri Rūpa and Sanatana, came from Chandradvipa to the village in the Malda district of Bengal, known as Ramakeli. It is in this village that Sri Jiva Goswami took birth, accepting Vallabha as his father. Because of engaging in the service of the Muslim government, the 3 brothers received the title Malik. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited the village of Ramakeli, he met Vallabha there. Later, Sri Rūpa Goswami, after meeting Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, resigned from government service, and when he went to Vrindavana to meet Lord Chaitanya, Vallabha accompanied him. The meeting of Rūpa Goswami and Vallabha with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at Allahabad is described in the Madhya Lila, chapter 19. Actually, it is to be understood from the statement of Sanatana Goswami that Sri Rūpa Goswami and Vallabha went to Vrindavana under the instructions of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. First, they went to Mathura, where they met a gentleman named Subuddhi Rai, who maintained himself by selling dry fuel wood. He was very pleased to meet Sri Rūpa Goswami and Anupam, and he showed them the 12 forests of Vrindavana. Thus, they lived in Vrindavana for 1 month, and then again went to search for Sanatana Goswami. Following the course of the Ganges, they reached Allahabad or Prayag Tirtha. But because Sanatana Goswami had come there by a different road, they did not meet him there. And when Sanatana Goswami came to Mathura, he was informed of the visit of Rūpa Goswami and Anupam by Subuddhi Rai. When Rūpa Goswami and Anupam met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at Benares, they heard about Sanatana Goswami's travels from him, and thus they returned to Bengal, adjusted their affairs with the state, and on the order of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, went to see the Lord at Jagannath Puri. In the year 1436 Shakabda, AD 1515, the youngest brother Anupama died and went back home, back to Godhead. He went to the abode in the spiritual sky where Sri Ramachandra is situated. At Jagannath Puri, Sri Rūpa Goswami informed Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu of this incident. Vallabha was a great devotee of Sri Ramachandra. Therefore, he could not seriously consider the worship of Radha Govinda according to the instructions of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Yet, he directly accepted Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Ramachandra. In the Bhakti Ratnakar, there is the following statement. Vallabha was given the name Anupam by Sri Ghora Sundar, but he was always absorbed in the devotional service of Lord Ramachandra. He did not know anyone but Sri Ramachandra. but he knew that Chaitanya Gosai was the same Lord Ramachandra. In the Gaurīdāsa Dipika, text 180, Sri Rūpa Gosvāmī is described to be the gopi named Sri Rūpa Manjari. In the Bhakti-Ratnakara, there is a list of the books Sri Rūpa Gosvāmī compiled. Of all his books, the following 16 are very popular among Vaishnavas. 1. Hamsadutta. 2. Uddhava Sandesha. 3. Krishna Janmatiti Vidhi. 4 and 5. Radha Krishna Ganodesha Dipika. Briyat Major and Lagu Minor. 6. Stavamala. 7. Vidagdha Madhava. 8. Lalita Madhava. 9. Dhanakeli Kaumudi. 10. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. This is the most celebrated book by Sri Rūpa Gosvāmī. 11. Ujjval Nilamani. 12. Akyata Chandrika. 13. Mathura Mahima. 14. Padyavali. 15. Nataka Chandrika. And 16. Laghu Bhagavatamrita. Sri Rūpa Gosvāmī gave up all family connections, joined the renounced order of life, and divided his money, giving 50% to the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas, and 25% to his kutumba, family members, and keeping 25% for personal emergencies. He met Haridas Thakur in Jagannath Puri, where he also met Lord Chaitanya and his other associates. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to praise the handwriting of Rūpa Gosvāmī. Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī could compose verses according to the desires of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And by his direction, he wrote 2 books named Lalita Madhava and Vidagdha Madhava. Lord Chaitanya desired the 2 brothers, Sanatan Goswami and Rūpa Gosvāmī, to publish many books in support of the Vaishnava religion. When Sanatan Goswami met Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Lord advised him to go to Vrindavana. Sri Sanatan Goswami is described in the Gaurīdāsa Dipika, text 21. He was formerly known as Rati Manjari or sometime Lavanga Manjari. In the Bhakti Ratnakara, it is stated that his spiritual master Vidyavachaspati sometimes stayed in a village of Ramakeli, and Sanatan Goswami studied all the Vedic literature from him. He was so devoted to his spiritual master that this cannot be described. According to the Vedic system, if someone sees a Muslim, he must perform rituals to atone for the meeting. Sanatan Goswami always associated with Muslim kings. Not giving much attention to the Vedic injunctions, he used to visit the houses of Muslim kings, and thus he considered himself to have been converted into a Muslim. He was therefore always very humble and meek. When Sanatan Goswami presented himself before Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he admitted, "I'm always in association with lower class people, and my behavior is therefore very abominable." He actually belonged to a respectable Brahmin family, but because he considered his behavior to be abominable, he did not try to place himself amongst the Brahmanas, but always remain among the people of the lower caste. He wrote the Hari Bhakti Vilas and Vaishnava Toshani, which is a commentary on the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. In the year 1476 Shakabda, AD 1555, he completed the Brihad Vaishnava Toshani commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam. In the year 1504 Shakabda, AD 1583, he finished the Laghu Toshani. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught his principles through 4 chief followers. Among, please go down with the page. Among them, Ramananda Roy is exceptional. For through him the Lord taught how a devotee can completely vanquish the power of Cupid. By Cupid's power, as soon as one sees a beautiful woman, he is conquered by her beauty. Sri Ramananda Roy, however, vanquished Cupid's pride. Indeed, while rehearsing the Jagannatha Vallabha Nataka, he personally directed extremely beautiful young girls in dancing, but he was never affected by their youthful beauty. Sri Ramananda Roy personally bathed these girls, touching them and washing them with his own hands. Yet he remained calm and passionless, as a great devotee should be. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu certified that this was possible only for Ramananda Roy. Similarly, Damodar Pandit was notable for his objectivity as a critic. He did not even spare Chaitanya Mahaprabhu from his criticism. This also cannot be imitated by anyone else. Haridas Thakur is exceptional for his forbearance, because although he was beaten with canes in 22 marketplaces, nevertheless he was tolerant. Similarly, Sri Sanatana Goswami, although he belonged to a most respectable Brahmin family, was exceptional for his humility and meekness. We will read a few passages about Gaurīdāsa Pandit. Can we display the writing about Gaurīdāsa Pandit, please?
Yes, Prabhu, I'm searching later in the same email that you sent.
Okay. These are the Gaurnitai deities worshipped by Gaurīdāsa Pandit in Ambika Kalna near Navadvip. These deities are said to be very similar to Sriman Mahaprabhu's and Sri Nityananda Prabhu's figures, as they were made under their instruction at the time of their stay at Gaurīdāsa Pandit's house. On the right side, there's also a picture of Gaurīdāsa Pandit there with the garland. And under that, there is the Samadhi and temple near the Parikram Marg of Sri Vrindavan Dham, Gaurīdāsa Pandit's Samadhi. Then there's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's footprints at Kalna, and the shrine housing Mahaprabhu's footprints. Very, very special. Next, there is the Lord Chaitanya tamarind tree near Kalna, the plum tree under which Nityananda Prabhu married Janavi and Vasudha Devi. Gaurīdāsa Pandit Jana Premo Dhanda Bhakti Krishna Prema Dite Nire Dhare Mahashakti. Translation by Śrīla Prabhupāda. Gaurīdāsa Pandit, the emblem of the most elevated devotional service in love of Godhead, had the greatest potency to receive and deliver such love. Purport. It is said that Gaurīdāsa Pandit was always patronized by King Krishna Dāsa, the son of Hari Hoda. Gaurīdāsa Pandit lived in the village of Shaligram, which is situated a few miles from the railway station Mudagacha, and later he came to reside in Ambika Kalna. It is said in the Gaur Ganadesha Dipika, verse 128, that formerly he was Subal, one of the coward boyfriends of Krishna and Balarama in Vrindavana. Gaurīdāsa Pandit was the younger brother of Suryadasa Sarakela, and with the permission of his elder brother, he shifted his residence to the bank of the Ganges, living there in the town known as Ambika Kalana. Some of the names of the descendants of Gaurīdāsa Pandit are as follows. 1. Sri Nrisimha Chaitanya, 2. Krishna Dāsa. 3. Vishnu Dāsa. 4. Bhadabararam Dāsa. 5. Govinda. 6. Raghunatha. 7. Bhadu Ganga Dāsa. 8. Alya Gangarama. 9. Yadavacharya. 10. Hridaya Chaitanya. 11. Chanda Haladhara. 12. Mahesha Pandit. 13. Mukutarai. 14. Batulya Gangarama. 15. Alya Chaitanya. 16. Kaliya Krishna Dasa. 17. Patuya Gopal. 18. Bada Jagannatha. 19. Nityananda. 20. Bhavi. 21. Jagadisha. 22. Rai Krishna Das. And 22:12 Annapurna. The eldest son of Gaurīdāsa Pandit was known as Big Balaram, and the youngest son was known as Raghunatha. The sons of Raghunath were Mahesh Pandit and Govinda. Gaurīdāsa Pandit's daughter was known as Annapurna. The village Ambika Kalana, which is situated just across the river Ganges from Shantipur, is 2 miles east of the Kalana-Kurta railway station on the Eastern Railway. In Ambika Kalana, there is a temple constructed by the Zamindar of Burdwan. In front of the temple, there's a big tamarind tree, and it's said that Gaurīdāsa Pandit and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu met underneath this tree. The place where the temple is situated is known as Ambika. And because it is in the area of Kalana, the village is known as Ambika Kalana. It is said that a copy of the Bhagavad Gita written by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu still exists in this temple. Srila Prabhupada explains the exalted position of Gaurīdāsa Pandit. Gaurīdāsa Pandit Jana Premodhanda Bhakti Krishna Prema Dite Nite Dhare Mahashakti. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Gaurīdāsa Pandit, the emblem of the most elevated devotional service in love of Godhead, had the greatest potency to receive and deliver such love. Purport. It is said that Gaurīdāsa Pandit was always patronized by King Krishna Das, the son of Harihoda. Gaurīdāsa Pandit lived in the village of Shaligram, which is situated a few miles from the railway station Mudagacha, and later he came to reside in Ambika Kalana. I think we've just read all this list of these transcendental associates in a different purport. We'll keep reading. Nityanande samarpila jatikula panti Sri Chaitanya Nityanande Kari Pranapati. Translation. Making Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda the lords of his life, Gaurīdāsa Pandit sacrificed everything for the service of Lord Nityananda, even the fellowship of his own family. From Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Lila 11:27. I think we just wanted to have, if Ishan Prabhu is present, maybe you can give us a few comments about some of these readings. Hare Krishna.
What can a person say after hearing of these personalities? All one can do is offer obeisances repeatedly, but we're being called upon. We'll try to we have to understand, when Krishna comes to our world, to our planet, in this material universe, one of the millions and trillions of universes emanating by the breathing of Mahavishnu. When Krishna comes, he comes with his entourage, his associates. And you can see all of these people, they're all related by familial, by they're in similar families, and they all have a pastimes in relation to Lord Chaitanya for spreading this Krishna consciousness and giving us their writings, etc. And I have a copy of one letter to one of Srila Prabhupada's devotees that all of the members of our disciplic succession, they're either gopis, and some of them are cowherd boys. So we do not know who Srila Prabhupada is in the spiritual world, but Srila Prabhupada said the only way that he was selected by Lord Chaitanya to distribute the Yuga Dharma to the whole planet Earth, that he's an intimate associate of Lord Chaitanya, and Srila Prabhupada says, one could not do what he did, so much writing, so much touring, so much opening temples, so much changing the minds and hearts of millions of people, not only today, but in the next 9,000 years. That is Srila Prabhupada, who has come Nitya Siddha from the spiritual world. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada says, it is an offense, hellish mentality, to think of the Acharya as an ordinary human being. We have to understand who Srila Prabhupada is, and so what does Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj say? Praying at the lotus feet of Rūpa Raghunath, always desiring their mercy. Therefore, Narottam Das Thakur instructs us that we should Ha Prabhu Koradoya, Dehom More Padachoya. O Master, be merciful unto me. So, how we were reading this morning, how to receive the mercy of Rūpa and Sanatan, that one must get the mercy of Lord Nityananda. Srila Prabhupada is explained in our literature. We can see him as the representative of Lord Nityananda, as the external manifestation of Krishna within our hearts. That to be external manifestation of the all-pervasive Supersoul, that Krishna himself would take one of his intimate associates and empower him to have the power, presence and power of the all-pervasive Supersoul. Therefore, all of us can have a living relationship with Srila Prabhupada in this right now. This we have to understand, and I'll be therefore always at his lotus feet praying for his mercy. He will respond. Srila Prabhupada says, Kata Upanishad, the Lord is in the heart, simply waiting for us to turn to him. And he will bless us with all spiritual understanding. So this Krishna consciousness process, so scientific, so wonderful, so living, so in intimate connection with Lord Chaitanya through his representative like that. And we have that opportunity to enter into that association. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much for these comments, Ishan Prabhu. Your insights and realizations are almost appreciated. I'm just a parrot. I just read what's in the book. But your explanations are very, very welcome. Again, this is a very important point. We do not subscribe to the ideas of ignoramuses or ignorant people who have described Prabhupada as a worker for hire in some of their postings in Washington, D.C., USA, and the United States Copyright Office. We categorically reject the characterization of Prabhupada as a derelict in the street, as a doting person who was confused, who was old. This is not the description of a Mahabhagavata. This is the bewildered, speculative minds of individuals who never understood who Śrīla Prabhupada was. That's why in some of these writings, some of these disciples, the so-called disciples, claim that when they read Krishna book, they're doubting whether Krishna Lila is mythology. Or excuse me, you're putting the Vaishnava tilak, you are putting the dress of a Vaishnava, claiming that you have been appointed as an Acharya, and you're writing whether or not you don't know if Krishna Lila is real, claiming it might be mythology. Now, this is why it's so important to hear submissively from Śrīla Prabhupada and not speculate. We never should speculate on the position of the Acharya. Let me give an example. Śrīla Prabhupada was once asked in Calcutta, "Oh, Śrīla Prabhupada, in some of your pictures, you look very grave, very stoic. What are these pictures?" Prabhupada said, "Oh, no." Prabhupada said, "That was a moment of ecstasy." So we can't speculate that Prabhupada did this and Prabhupada did that. And this is the danger of neophyte devotees coming too close to the deity or the spiritual master. Śrīla Prabhupada warns about this in some purports in Chaitanya Charitamrita. One should not come very close to the deity or the spiritual master. Otherwise, familiarity breeds contempt. This is very important. It's taken almost 5 decades for some people to begin to come to their senses and realize that Prabhupada was just not an irregular guru or an ordinary sadhu, but he was an especially empowered Shakti-avatar. Now, a person has to use his intelligence and read, hear, what is a Shakti-avatar? What does that practically mean? What is a Mahabhagavata? What is a topmost Mahabhagavata? What is an empowered pure devotee? We have to learn these things. Otherwise, one can be misled by false propaganda. Okay. Prafulla Kamala Jini Nayala Jugal, Nilamani Darpana Kanti Kanda Chalamal. Translation by Śrīla Prabhupada. The eyes of Lord Jagannath conquered the beauty of blossoming lotus flowers, and his neck was as lustrous as a mirror made of sapphire. Purport. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu usually saw Lord Jagannath from a distance, standing behind the column of Garuda. But because he had not seen Lord Jagannath for 15 days, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu felt great separation from him. In great eagerness, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu crossed the meeting hall and entered the room where food was offered just to see the face of Lord Jagannath. In verse 210, this action is called Maryada Langana, a violation of the regulative principles. This indicates that one should not come very near a superior. Both the Lord's deity form and the spiritual master should be seen from a distant place. This is called Maryada. Otherwise, as it is said, familiarity breeds contempt. Sometimes coming too near the deity or the spiritual master degrades the neophyte devotee. Personal servants of the deity and the spiritual master should therefore always be very careful, for negligence may overcome them in their duty. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's eyes have been compared to thirsty bumblebees, and Sri Jagannath's eyes have been compared to blossoming lotus flowers. The author has made these comparisons in order to describe Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, while the Lord was deeply absorbed in ecstatic love for Lord Jagannath. Well, there it is in Prabhupada's own words. We will read a few selections from Acharya from the Golden Age, the unique historical position of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda, Founder-Ācārya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, also known as the Krishna Consciousness Movement. This is a letter from Śrīla Prabhupāda to Sally Agarwal on November 19th, 1965. I'm obliged to your good daughter for awarding me a good degree as Swami Jesus, which is actually a good honor for me. Sometimes the Lord speaks through innocent child, and I take this honor as said by Lord Jesus through an innocent child free from all formalities of the current society. Lord Jesus preached the message of God and have taken up the same mission. And it would be good luck for me if I can follow the footprints of Lord Jesus, who preached the message of God in spite of all persecution. Again, this was a letter to Sally Agarwal. She was the wife of Mr. Agarwal in Butler, Pennsylvania, who received Śrīla Prabhupada when he first came to New York and then to Pennsylvania. Section number 3, symptoms and qualities of great devotees. The power of pure devotees. This is a quote from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 8, Text 78, Purport, Authorized Original Edition. Ordinary yogis can exhibit wonderful material activities, known as Ashta Siddhi, 8 kinds of yogic perfection. But a pure devotee of the Lord can surpass these perfections by performing activities which can make the whole universe tremble. Wow. Another one from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 8, Text number 5. It is said that a single pure devotee of the Lord can deliver all the fallen souls of the world. Again, from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 8, Text 5. Next, we have something from the Krishna book, Prayers of the Personified Vedas. Quote, the pure devotee ignites Krishna consciousness in the hearts of the conditioned souls, and thus the blazing fire of the spiritual world becomes manifest even within this material world. Then we have a statement from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, Chapter 8, Text 200. Quote, when a pure Vaishnava speaks, he speaks perfectly. How is this? His speech is managed by Krishna himself from within the heart. I think this is a very, very important statement by Śrīla Prabhupada, considering an ongoing controversy that is still going on regarding the changing of Śrīla Prabhupada's books. Some people call it editing, but we know from factual analysis and very detailed review of these various so-called changes that this was not desired or ordered or authorized by Śrīla Prabhupada. Prabhupada once said that my purports are my devotional ecstasies. No one has the right to change these purports under the plea of grammatical correctness. That is not correct. Prabhupada did not want this. I was personally told by Prabhupada on June 22nd, 1977 in Vrindavan, after the rascal editor's conversation. I was in Prabhupada's room sitting there, and everybody had left. So I'm sitting there, and Prabhupada starts screaming at me. You know, in India, they have these paperweights that they put on the desk so the papers will not fly off while the fan is moving. And Prabhupada went, he says, you there, you go tell these GBCs, if they change one word of what I've written, it'll spoil everything I've done. So my question is, how many words have they changed? That is a very important point. Not because I say it, I'm insignificant, but Prabhupada's words are very significant. And this issue will have to be rectified completely eventually. Return Srila Prabhupada's books to the original first editions. Never mind if there are some minor mistakes. That was Prabhupada's desire. Prabhupada stated on the 22nd of June, 1977, the next printing, again, should be the original way. Now, I must admit and confess that English is not my original language. French is my original language. Je pense que Madame Ruchisa comprend ça. I'm thinking that Ruchisa Mataji may not understand it. She's also with the French language, born in that environment. But I've worked with legal departments and lawyers for over 25, 27 years. I have a reasonable understanding when Prabhupada says they cannot change anything, that means don't change anything. Now, somebody may be more sophisticated with degrees in English and PhD in grammar. That's very nice. I'm sure there are many competent people that can address these issues in a very scholarly, very detailed, and articulate these issues very nicely. That's fine. But for us, simple devotees, we should just follow Prabhupada's instruction. Yes, Ishan Prabhu, please, go ahead.
Not only they have changed words, but I have seen in different places in the books where the editors simply didn't understand what Srila Prabhupada was saying. And by changing the way they write, they have actually changed the meaning of Srila Prabhupada's purports. So this is so serious. This is why changes can, if they can do this 50, we have 10,000 years in front of us. If from generation to generation, this changing business, people thinking just King James Version and King Advaita, whatever his name is, version, the whole thing will be lost. The whole thing will be lost. Therefore, it must stay exactly. Why? Because Srila Prabhupada said so.
Very good point. Very good point. Ram Raghava Prabhu, let us proceed with our Srimad Bhagavatam reading in the Jai Radha Madhava. Hare Krishna.
Okay, Prabhu. Before I play this, I'd like to do the usual reading of the proper translation.
Yes.
This is a song by Srila Bhaktivedanta Thakur, and in the original songbook in 1974, the proper translation is given. Shri Shri Radha Madhava have their loving pastimes in the groves of Vrindavan. Gopijana Vallabha means one who attracts and reciprocates loving pastimes with the gopis. Girivaradhari is Krishna's name in the pastime of lifting Govardhan hill. Yaśodā-nandana is the son of Yaśoda. Nanda means son and is also the name of Krishna's father, so Krishna is also Nanda-nandana. Brajajana Ranjana means the attractive darling of the inhabitants of Vrindavan. He is always playing in the groves, vana, of the bank, tira, of the Yamuna river. Therefore, Krishna is also known as Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Śrīla Prabhupada is very fond of this song and sings it just before his lectures. In Allahabad and Gorakhpur, Śrīla Prabhupada fell into a trance after singing the first two lines, and after some time he came back into external consciousness and said, "Now just chant Hare Krishna." Śrīla Prabhupada says that this song is a picture of Vrindavan. Everything is there. Srimati Radharani, Vrindavan, Govardhan, Yashoda, and all the cowherd boys.
Sai. Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari. Jaya Radha Punya Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava
Om Vishnupada Paramahansa Parivrajakacarya Stottara Shatashri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Śrīla Prabhupāda Ki Jai.
Jayam Swasaram Parivrajakacarya Stottara Sadasamad Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Gosvāmī Prabhupāda Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Śrīla Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद से अद्वैत गदाधर शिवास आदि गौर भक्तवृंद श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गो गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरिवर्धन की जय, वृंदावन धाम की जय, नवद्वीप धाम की जय, स्वामी तो भक्तवृंद की जय, गंगा माई की जय, जमुना माई की जय, तुलसी देवी की जय, भक्ति देवी की जय, स्वामी तो भक्तवृंद की जय. All glories to the assembled Lord. All glories to the assembled Lord. Thank you very much.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. O my Lord, Sri Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, the all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you from Srimad Bhagavatam 1:1:1. Narayanam namaskritya, Narayanam namaskritya, Naram cheva narottamam, Naram cheva narottamam, Devim saraswatim vyasam, Devim saraswatim vyasam, tato jayam udhirayet, tato jayam udhirayet. One should utter the means of conquest, Srimad Bhagavatam, after offering respectful obeisances, 1, to the personality of Godhead Narayana, 2, to the Narayana Rishi, who is the supremmost human being, 3, to the Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, then 4, to Śrīla Vyasadeva, the author, from Srimad Bhagavatam 1-4. Welcome everyone to this reading and discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam. Today, we will be reading from Canto 1, Chapter 8, text number 27. Canto 1, Chapter 8, text number 27. Namo kinchana vittaya, nivritta gunavrittaye, atmaramaya shantaya, kevalyapataye namaha. Namo, all obeisances unto you, akinchana vittaya, unto the property of the materially impoverished, nivritta, completely transcendental to the actions of material modes, guna, material modes, vritti, affection, atmaramaya, one who is self-satisfied, shantaya, the most gentle, kevalyapataye, unto the master of the monist, namaha, bowing down. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. My obeisances are unto you, who is the property of the materially impoverished, and one who has nothing to do with the actions and reactions of the material modes of nature. You are self-satisfied, and therefore you are the most gentle and master of the monist. Purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. A living being is finished as soon as there is nothing to possess by him. Therefore, a living being cannot be in the real sense of the term a renouncer. A living being renounces something for gaining something more valuable. A student sacrifices his childish proclivities for gaining better education. A servant gives up his job for a better job. Similarly, a devotee renounced the material world not for nothing, but for something tangible in spiritual value. Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī and Sanatana Gosvāmī, or Sri Raghunath Goswami, and others all gave up their worldly pomp and prosperity for the sake of the service of the Lord. They were big men in the worldly sense. The Goswamis were ministers in the then government service of Bengal, and Śrīla Das Goswami was the son of a big zamindar of his time. But they left everything, not to be loser, but to gain far superior than what they previously possessed. The devotees are generally without any material prosperity, but they have very secret treasure house in the lotus feet of the Lord. There's a nice story about Srila Sanatana Goswami. He had a touchstone with him, and this stone was left with the stack of refuse. A needy man came to ask him for the touchstone, and he asked him to take it from the stack of the refuse. The needy man took it, but later on thought why the valuable stone was kept in such neglected place. He asked, therefore, for the most valuable thing from him, and then he was given the holy name of the Lord. Akinchana means one who has nothing to give materially. A factual devotee or the Mahatma does not give anything material to anyone because such devotee has already left all material assets. He can, however, deliver the supreme asset, namely the personality of Godhead, because he is the only property of a factual devotee. The touchstone of Sanatana Goswami, which was thrown with the rubbish and refuse, was not the property of the Goswami. Otherwise, it would not have been kept in such negligible place. This specific example is set for the neophyte devotees just to convince them that material hankerings and spiritual advancement go ill together. Unless one is not apt to see everything spiritual in relation with the Supreme Lord, one must always distinguish spirit and matter differently. A spiritual master like Srila Sanatana Goswami, although he was personally apt to view everything spiritual, yet he set this example for us only because we have no such spiritual vision. Advancement of material vision of material civilization is a great stumbling block for spiritual advancement. Such material advancement by life entangles the living being more in the bondage of material body, followed by all sorts of material miseries. Such material advancement of life is called anarthas, or things not wanted. Actually, this is so. In the present context of material advancement of life, one has become apt to use lipsticks at a cost of ₹20, and there are so many unwanted things which are all products of material conception of life. By diverting attention in the matter of so many unwanted things, the human energy is spoiled without any achievement of spiritual realization, the prime necessity of the human life. The attempt to reach moon planet by material carrier is the summit of material education, is another set of spoiling energy. Because even if the moon planet is reached, that will not solve the problems of life. The devotees of the Lord are called akinchanas because they have practically no material assets. Such material assets are all products of the three modes of material nature for foiling the spiritual energy. And as such, the less we possess such products of the material nature, the more we have good chance for spiritual progress. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has no direct connection with material activities. All his acts and deeds, which are exhibited even in this material world, are also spiritual or without any affection of the modes of material qualities. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that all his acts, even his appearance and disappearance in and out of the material world, are all transcendental, and one who may know this in perfect order shall not take his birth again in this material world, but he would go back to Godhead. The material disease is the hankering after lording it over the material nature. This hankering after material nature is due to an interaction of the three modes of nature, and both the Lord and the devotees have no attachment for such false enjoyment. Therefore, the Lord as well as the devotees are called Nivritta Guna Vritti. The perfect Nivritti Guna Vritti is the Supreme Lord, because never he has becomes attracted by the modes of material nature, whereas the living beings have such tendency potentially. Some of them are entrapped by the illusory attraction of material nature. Because the Lord is the property of the devotees, and the devotees are the properties of the Lord, reciprocally, therefore, the devotees are certainly transcendental to the modes of material nature. That is a natural conclusion. Such unalloyed devotees are distinct from the mixed devotees who approach the Lord for mitigation of miseries, poverty, inquisitiveness, and speculation on empiric philosophy. The unalloyed devotees of the Lord and the Lord are transcendently attached with one another. For others, the Lord has nothing to reciprocate, and therefore is called Atmarama, self-satisfied. Self-satisfied as he is the master of all monists seeking merging in the existence of the Lord. Such monist certainly merges within the personal effulgence of the Lord called the Brahmajyoti. But the devotees unalloyed enters into the transcendental pastimes of the Lord, which are never to be misunderstood as material activity. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnanam Jana Shalakaya Chakshuranmiritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Bhakti Siddhanta Shishyaya Bhaktivedanta Namine Prasannaya Prashantaya Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Bhagavad Vandana Khadyam Guru Vandana Purvakam Kshiram Sarkara Yuktam Kadati Visheshataha Adadhana Strinam Dhanteridam Yache Punaha Punaha Srimad Rūpa Padam Bhoja Dhulisyam Janma Janmani Amsho Bhagavato Smyaham Sadadaso Asmi Sarvata Tat Kripa Pikshako Nityam Tat Prishta Sat Karomi Swam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. There is one conversation with Śrīla Prabhupada where Śrīla Prabhupada was discussing the position of the 6 Goswāmīs. And Prabhupada described they were the richest men in the world. And Prabhupada explained, why do we say that? Because they had captured the lotus feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And they were living very austere, living under a tree, under trees. When they were in Vrindavan, they had no big palaces in the beginning, no temple, nothing. Just living under a tree. and discussing the Shastras, but because they were absorbed in the pastimes of Radha Krishna 24 hours a day, Prabhupada described how they were the richest personalities. Now, this is a very important point because sometimes devotees misunderstand, especially neophytes, that if there is some suffering in their lives of some shortcomings, that they feel unhappy. But we have to understand that everything happens by the mercy of Krishna. Prabhupada explains in the Bhagavad Gita that not a blade of grass moves without the will of the Supreme. This is a very important point, because sometimes devotees will ask, well, why did this happen? Why did that happen? Why did Lord Krishna allow that to happen? Well, Krishna's got his own plans. And in our neophyte vision, sometimes it's not easy to understand the plans of Krishna, the plan of the pure devotee of Krishna. We just have to accept that there is ultimately a plan of the Lord. Krishna is the supreme master, and all others are his servants. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishna Das Kaviraj described Ekal Ishwar Krishna, that Lord Krishna is the only controller. Arsa Britya, all others are his servants. In the material world, people forget that they are servants of Krishna under the influence of Maya. This particular purport has so many points that could be discussed literally for many, many hours or many weeks. It's very important when we read these purports from Srila Prabhupada. We should be very, very diligent and very patient trying to understand the message. For example, in on the last page of this purport, Prabhupada explains, in the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that all his acts, even his appearance and disappearance in and out of the material world, are all transcendental. And one who knows this perfectly, a slight different version here, and one who knows this in perfect order shall not take his birth again in this material world, but he would go back to Godhead. I believe I've mentioned that story many times about Jayananda. This particular purport is taken, it's Srila Prabhupada is explaining this verse from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, text number 9, Janma karma chami divyam evam veti yat tatpataha tyaktva deham punara janma naiti mam iti so Arjuna. For one who understands the nature of my appearance and activities does not take birth again in this material world. I'm paraphrasing here. So this is a very important point. Prabhupada's whole mission is give people the devotional service to Krishna, pure, unalloyed devotional service. Chant the name of Krishna, worship Krishna, offer your foodstuff to Krishna with love and devotion. This is a very simple, non-complex procedure. But because people in the material world are so attached to so many nonsense pursuits of Maya, therefore there are so many problems. We see this right now in the world where there are different conflicts, different wars between different nations over ideologies, trying to take over land. This is simply because they forget who is the Lord, who is the master, who is the controller. Bhoktaram yajñatapasam sarvaloka maheswaram suridam sarvabhutanam yatvamam shantim richati. In the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 5, text 29, there is description that great sages have achieved perfect peace when they've understood three things. Bhoktaram yajñapasam, that Lord Krishna is the enjoyer of all sacrifice, all austerities. All of our work should be for the pleasure of Krishna. Here's the actual translation. The sages, knowing me as the ultimate purpose of all sacrifices and austerities, the supreme Lord of all planets and demigods, and the benefactor and well-wisher of all living entities, attain peace from the pangs of material miseries. This is the real solution. This is the peace formula for anyone to become peaceful, for nations to become peaceful, for families to become peaceful. Not complicated, not very difficult. At this point, I'd like to turn over to Ishan Prabhu for his comments. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I was reading in Chaitanya Charitamrita Antya Lila, chapter 13, text number 112, and the purport, Śrīla Prabhupada says, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he advised, this is Raghunath Bhatta Gosvāmī, he advised him not to enter into the bondage of the marriage. Generally, a person cannot make much advancement in spiritual consciousness if he's married, like me. He becomes attached to his family, is prone to sense gratification. Thus, his spiritual advancement is very slow, almost nil. Śrīla Prabhupada is warning us, telling us like that, because, and in today's reading, because the Lord is the property of devotees, the devotees are the property of the Lord. Reciprocally, therefore, the devotees are transcendental to the modes of material nature. When our hearts are attached to Krishna, the material modes of nature cannot touch us. When we're become attached to Krishna, and Krishna's pure devotee, the material energy cannot touch us. This is Śrīla Prabhupada, that is a natural conclusion. Unalloyed devotees, they're different, distinct from mixed devotees who are approaching the Lord for mitigation of misery, for mitigation of poverty, for inquisitiveness, for speculation of philosophy. The unalloyed devotees, they and the Lord, they're transcendentally attached with one another. And for others, the Lord has nothing to reciprocate. Every religion on this planet, people are approaching God for what? For enhancement of our material condition. It's like being in the prison and we have the opportunity to qualify for getting out or for making a better arrangement in the prison house. All of these so-called religions, a Hindu, a Christian, most of the whole Vedic literature is about karma kanda. A Hindu, a Christian, a Muslim, a Jew, and what to speak of the indigenous cultures, they're all approaching God for enhancement of our material condition. In this way, they're saying, please keep me here in the cycle of birth and death. Therefore, we have to be very careful and understand this is what unalloyed means, not mixed with, there's desire for satisfaction of. Therefore, Krishna consciousness is a celebration of the happiness, the love between Radha and Krishna, and to celebrate that and to hold it very dear to our heart. And with the desire that maybe one day, maybe one birth, I can also be in some way servant of the servant of the servant who's contributing to Krishna's happiness. One should not think that he'll become a loser in this way, but he'll gain eternal life. He'll attain eternal bliss and knowledge, perfect So this is what Śrīla Prabhupada, this is what Krishna is offering to us. This is the invitation. When we receive an invitation to somebody's wedding or somebody's funeral in the material world, we get the RSVP, Répondez s'il vous plaît, which means please answer if you will come and attend with us. This is Krishna's Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam is Krishna's invitation to join him in the spiritual world, to put the whole business aside, to do what we have to do according to our material circumstance, and to keep body and soul together and get on with the real business of Krishna consciousness. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for these very insightful comments. Very important points. It seems there's quite a few comments. I think we have a little bit of echo. We have some devotees who've made some comments. Is one devotee named Jairaj Prabhu. Śrīla Prabhupada teaches us a devotee of the Lord should always consider himself a servant of the servant of the servant of the Lord. These self-appointed gurus have taken initiation from Śrīla Prabhupada, but these gurus are not accepting the changes they have made in Prabhupada's books as offense. If we criticize these gurus, will it be considered as Vaishnava aparad? Because they have taken initiation from Śrīla Prabhupada, and Prabhupada teaches us that we should be servant of the servant of the Lord, Hare Krishna. Well, this raises a very important point. Taking initiation from Prabhupada is definitely very, very nice, very special, to become a follower of Prabhupada, to become a student of Prabhupada, to become a disciple of Prabhupada. But this is not a license to concoct or invent new philosophies, to concoct and change the philosophy that Prabhupada gave us. Just because one has been initiated, this is not a license to do all nonsense. Śrīla Prabhupada spoke on this so many times. You know, Śrīla Prabhupada was one asked, why is it that so many of your personal servants who spent so much time with you end up to be leaving, and many of them blooped, they went away? And Prabhupada explained, yes, in the beginning they did very nicely. They rendered some service to the spiritual master, but then they started to think that the spiritual master is an ordinary man like me, and immediately fall down. This is the problem. Just because one has taken initiation from Prabhupada, this is not an excuse to disobey Prabhupada, to manufacture conclusions that are opposed to Śrīla Prabhupada. And we do know for a fact that Śrīla Prabhupada requested not to change his books, not to change his teachings, not to change his instructions. And what has happened, this has gone on a very wide scale by certain individuals who claim that they had received instructions from Prabhupada to edit the books or whatever instruction they claim they have received. And they started to change the philosophy. Changing the books is not only disrespecting Prabhupada and disobeying Prabhupada, they are changing the philosophy. From he has seen the truth to they have seen the truth. From Jagannath Das Babaji initiated Bhaktivedanta Thakur, Jagannath Babaji just accepted Bhaktivedanta Thakur. And their explanation was, because this doesn't conform to our understanding of initiations in ISKCON. Well, I got some news for you. We derive our understanding about initiation from Prabhupada's statements, not your speculation. Anybody can speculate. We follow Prabhupada's instruction. I believe that somebody named Chaitanya Prabhu has a hands up. Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, go ahead.
Sorry. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Śrīla Prabhupada.
Yes, Hare Krishna.
I have a little practical inquiry. We would very much like to. So I have tried to make a transfer on the IBAN SWIFT account, but I need a code and also there is a need of an address to the bank. I've been trying to write, but I was wondering if anyone could help me out here.
Yeah, well, I'll take care of that, Mataji. I'll take care of that. That's no problem.
Thank you.
That's no problem.
Uh,
Thank you for
May
that.
I ask another question also, Prabhu? Is there time left?
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead.
So I recently I heard this new interview with you, Prabhu, from the 20th of August this year, and I heard you speak of Srila Prabhupada, who told you, Guru Kripa Prabhu, that you should come to his temples because his temples was like his body, and apparently due to some politics you had been avoiding to go to the temples on your trip to collect donations.
Mm-hmm.
So for the society at large here, Hare Krishna Society, can you give us perhaps a brief introduction to what you do when you travel around? Because we'd like to take darshan in such temples as you also have collected for. Srila Prabhupada is there, Shri Gaurīdāsa and our lordships are there, but we know that perhaps, as you said, it may not even be prasadam. So could we go take darshan, but perhaps avoid to take the prasadam, or should we be upfront with them and say we are Ritviks and we're coming to barge in? How to balance? What do you do out there?
Yeah,
Yes.
the
To
fact
be
of the matter
respectful.
is, these instructions from Srila Prabhupada were given to us in 1973. What happened after that is that Prabhupada went on and explained that we could do direct service for him, collect for him. He gave Guru Kripa his bank account numbers, and Guru Kripa was depositing money directly into the bank. Now, during our time with ISKCON, we were giving classes every day, leading kirtan, doing preaching. All the devotees were doing that. The situation right now is different, because what has happened since Prabhupada departed, I mean, he's always with us transcendently, spiritually, majestically, he's always there. But the reality is that if you go to a temple, an ISKCON temple, tell them that you're a Ritvik or accept Prabhupada as your guru, a lot of time they will not allow you in, or you might get beat up, or you might get banned, or there's a lot of reactions. We know, I mean, one devotee was assassinated. Sulochan was assassinated over this issue. So I would use a little bit of discretion. If you go to a temple, an ISKCON temple, you can take darshan. And if you understand the philosophy of how to offer bhoga to Srila Prabhupada and what they're doing, you can reach your own conclusion. Many of us have reached a conclusion that in order for the foodstuff, the bhoga, to become prasadam, it has to be offered according to the instructions of Srila Prabhupada. One cannot manufacture his own idea like what they have done. So this is an issue which deals with the very heart of how should we follow Prabhupada. The changing of the books, the changing of offering of bhoga, the changing in the kirtan, there's been so many changes to the actual program, the basic fundamental sadhana program that was established by Srila Prabhupada, that we, at least as far as this group, Hare Krishna Society, and many other groups who consider themselves Prabhupada or Ritviks or Prabhupada followers, do not accept all their changes, because this is not what Srila Prabhupada wanted. That's why I say you have to use great discretion if you're going to deal with these people and make any statements. If you want to look at the deities, or, I mean, what I've decided to do, I have deities. I have a Shaligram Śrīla, a Govardhan Śrīla that was personally given to me by Prabhupada, and I've been worshiping it every day since 1976. I've got different deities, Shaligrams. Every day I do the worship, morning and evening. So, and I preach all day. I send emails. I'm on WhatsApp. I preach all the time. I personally had a dream where Prabhupada chastised me. He says, keep preaching, keep preaching, keep preaching. Don't stop. That's what I'm trying to do. You know, as far as my recent interviews about Guru Kripa is my old friend, but it's my understanding that he has gone to various Gaudiya Math advisors, which I know that we have no instruction from Srila Prabhupada to do that. Now, I understand the circumstances. People were upset with the GBC and everything, but Prabhupada left plenty of instruction of how we should conduct our spiritual life, our activities, without having to go to various other advisors. And I don't mean that in an offensive way. I mean that in a respectful way. Many of them were exalted souls who were disciples and followers of Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada. And basically, my point is, Prabhupada has given us everything that we need for spiritual life and for practice and for preaching. I'm trying to make it as simple as that. So, but this can be elaborated upon. We can discuss this future at some other point. I believe our good friend, yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Yes, Nilesh Prabhu has a question, but before that, I'd like to share something of mine.
Yes.
I go to the ISKCON temple sometimes. And usually, just like in India, when people visit the temple, they bring a gift for the deities. So I would bring some bhoga, some fruits or something. And I always make it a point to put it on the Vyasasan in front of Srila Prabhupada. And one time, one of the members said, no, you should offer to Krishna. You offer everything to Krishna. And so I got a chance to explain to him and said, we learned from Srila Prabhupada that we always offer everything through our spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada. That's why I'm offering it to him. And he just looked at me. He didn't have anything to say. So that's just a instance where I got to do a little bit of explaining to the members there. And I wanted to share that. Before the question by Nilesh, Ishan Prabhu has something to say.
Okay, go ahead, Prabhu Ishan.
Somebody was asking, almost tongue-in-cheek, these men, they're initiated by Srila Prabhupada. They're Srila Prabhupada's disciples, and so on and so on. If we have a critical point of view, is that not Vaishnava Aparad? He was asking like that. Perhaps he was thinking that we should all be one family. But we have to understand what a guru is. In the disciplic succession coming from Lord Chaitanya down to us through Srila Prabhupada, the process is that the spiritual master, prema bhakti yaha hoite, prema bhakti yaha hoite, avidya vinashayate, that from him, from all of these great pure devotees, this love of Krishna emanates. And what happens if we can catch that? If we can catch that emanation, Srila Prabhupada says, the sun is shining for everyone, but if our back is turned or the shutters are closed, we remain in the darkness. But it's always there. From him, this love of Krishna emanates. Narottam Das Thakur is telling us how to advance in Krishna consciousness. And if we can catch that emanation within our heart and cultivate, our ignorance is destroyed. That is the whole process. So, when someone is advertising on the web or on my telephone that you get this from me, but he cannot supply, or he will not supply, what do we call that? is called a scam. If someone is advertising that I am spirit, but he does, to give us this love of Krishna, one has to have this love of Krishna. Therefore, our instructions in our books that he must be already Mahabhagavata, filled with this ecstatic love of Krishna, and then he can give. Otherwise is scam. To say this is not offense. To say this is the truth, that's all. Hare Krishna. I mean, not offense. To say this is not offense. To say this is the truth. We should have clear intelligence.
After Nilesh Prabhu asks his question, there's a question from YouTube live stream also. Go ahead, Nilesh Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Prabhupada. I'd like to make 2 points. I have no questions, but I want to make 2 points. Number 1 point is about Vaishnava Aparadha. We all know that in order to kill anybody or especially a person, a human being, if I were to kill, I have to face repercussions, correct? And if I'm going to ask the person who said that if it is Vaishnava Aparadha, if that person is a judge, and I'm standing in your courtroom where I have admitted that I have killed this particular person, and I am I have to go through capital punishment, where would you assign me to be hanged? Now remember, when you will say yes, because if I've conducted a murder, I need to pay for it, and for me, by me my being hanged, Prabhupada has explained to us that we get rid of our my karmic reaction from the murder. You see? So when you are correcting another Vaishnava, that is not a Vaishnava Aparadha. Actually, you are helping the other person to become a real Vaishnava. Now, that person may take it as a Vaishnava Aparadha, but you know what is the truth. And if the truth is that we need to correct that person, you should go ahead and do that. Now, this is the difference. Now, let me give you an example, is why we need to be very careful about who we associate with and what we read and what kind of book changes are done. I would like to share something over here. If you can allow me to share my screen, Prabhuji.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, perfect. So I'm going to give me 1 second, okay? I'm on my phone, so start share screen. Okay. Okay. So I'm just going to share my screen over here, where I have brought up chapter 15, verse 1, Bhagavad Gita. Okay? Look at only the translation. I'm not going to go into the details, but just the translation. In the translation for chapter 15, verse 1, in the present ISKCON books, it says, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, it is said that there is an imperishable banyan tree that has its roots upwards and its branch down, and whose leaves are the Vedic hymns. One who knows this tree is the knower of the Vedas. Now look at this translation. It is said. What do you mean by when it is said? When it is said means we don't know whether it is true or not. Now the same thing, if I were to take Prabhupada's original 1972 Macmillan edition, chapter 15, text 1, the same translation. Look at how Prabhupada translates. The Blessed Lord said, there is a banyan tree which has its roots upwards and its branches down, whose leaves are the Vedic hymns. One who knows this tree is the knower of the Vedas. Look at the difference. It is said, then there is a banyan tree. It is a very definitive concept. It is not, it is said. When you say it is said, it may mean that there is, or it may mean there is not. If the Blessed Lord, if Bhagavan says it, how can there be any iota of any question mark or any kind of doubt? So look at this difference yourself. This is the difference between the original Macmillan edition and the changed books. Do you think that this change is a grammatical change? And you make your now conclusions, and there are so many of these. I'm just giving you one example. And when I brought this up at an ISKCON temple during this discussion, it was said that, oh, Prabhuji, you're reading too much into the books. And when this is another digression, when they said that Prabhupada has very clearly said that you must read my books very scrutinizingly. So now you make your decisions, and if you still want to choose to go and associate with them, be careful. You will learn a big lesson in humility. You will be sidetracked, you will be given less importance. If that is okay, fine, take darshan, but understand the difference in the philosophy. And if this is what you call as grammatical mistakes, I don't know what else to say. I would love to know what Ishan Prabhu and Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu have to say about this 15.1. Hare Krishna.
Well, you're making a very good point here, with the essence of which is, did Srila Prabhupada ever say we should go back to his manuscript to rewrite his books? No, the answer is no. Because what happened, the reason they do this is they're changing the philosophy when they do this. And you've given a perfect example there. Prabhupada's original statements is one way. They decided, they took it upon themselves to change it without authorization from Srila Prabhupada. Therefore, this revised Bhagavad Gita is unauthorized. It is not authorized by Srila Prabhupada. Because when you look at what they've done in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, they've changed the entire philosophy. See, Prabhupada explains initiation in many different ways in his books. He explains it as the transmission of transcendental knowledge. Let me give you an example. In Madhya Lila of Chaitanya Charitamrita, chapter 4, text 111, Madhya Lila, chapter 4, text 11, Prabhupada says, Diksha actually means initiating a disciple with transcendental knowledge, by which he becomes freed from all material contamination. In other words, Srila Prabhupada many times explains that initiation is the beginning. Text 111, not 11. 111. In other words, Srila Prabhupada is explaining in these texts that initiation is not just throwing some banana into the fire or throwing some ghee into the fire. It's a process of surrender, a process of practice. That is why, according to Prabhupada's instructions, before people got initiated, they were supposed to wait for 6 months, follow the prescribed proper program of Mangalartik, Bhagavatam class, Tulsi worship, Samkirtan, morning class, evening class. It's called Purashcharya, activities which are preparation for initiation, the transmission of transcendental knowledge. This is also explained in text number 5 of the Nectar of Instruction, where Prabhupada quotes a verse from Jiva Gosvāmī from the Bhakti Sandarbha, explaining Divyam Jnanam Yato Dadyat Kuryat Papasya Sankshayam. Tasmat Dikshiti Saproktes Deshikes Tatvakovidehi. So in other words, Prabhupada explains initiation in various ways, but they've taken it that it's simply a banana into the fire. Because if they read this explanation, then Prabhupada's statement that Jagannath Das Babaji initiated Bhaktivedanta Thakur makes perfect sense, but they didn't like it because it doesn't fit into their monopoly business. Yes, Ishan, you have a comment?
Just appreciating. Different things come to mind so exciting. Is it an offense to criticize? Srila Prabhupada says if something is wrong and you don't speak up, you're equally guilty. We're as guilty as the book changers if we don't say it's wrong. Then, especially in the association of devotees who want to become Krishna conscious, we have to speak. It's our duty. It's our vow. And then we just described what initiation is, that one is blessed. I don't remember the exact words. There's a transmission of transcendental knowledge. This doesn't mean conceptual knowledge. It means that that the spiritual master shares his knowledge of Krishna consciousness, his love of Krishna with the disciple, and then by which the disciple becomes relieved of his material attachment. That is, if that is what Diksha means, how many of us have received it yet? So we have to begin to have an intimate relationship. In 10th canto, Srila Prabhupada writes that unless the spiritual master always carries Krishna 100% within his heart, the disciple can never come to carry Krishna always in his heart. Because this is what is shared. And this is the meaning of Diksha. Hare Krishna.
I think we need to make a few announcements. Srila Prabhupada's Vyasa Puja is coming up very quickly, and we have about 7 or 8 days for people to submit their offerings or homages to Srila Prabhupada. This year, the Vyasa Puja will be observed on September 5th, Saturday, September 5th. So if you have not sent an offering, please send your offering. If you send it to my attention or Ram Raghava, or any one of us, will make sure we'll have an electronic book that will be published. We greatly appreciate, even if it's a small offering, a very quick offering, please do so. Another point, the next week and the week after, I will not be in Twin Heart. I'll be in Edison, New Jersey, and some of you can participate. We will have the class, but I believe the time might be changed, subject to Ram Raghava Prabhu's approval. The time will be 10 o'clock Eastern time or 7 o'clock California time. California time there's 3 hours later in the East Coast. Might be an hour later in your time. So 7 o'clock California time, 10 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time for next week, next Sunday and the Sunday after that, because I'll be there for about 9 days, 10 days. And last point, if any one of you have not received your Srimad Bhagavatam yet, first canto of Bhagavatam, please contact us. You can purchase the Bhagavatam, the 1962 original version. And Srila Prabhupada said about this Bhagavatam, so I wrote those first 3 volumes of Srimad Bhagavatam, the first canto. All of our philosophy, everything you need to know is in those first 3 volumes. This was a conversation between Srila Prabhupada and Hare Krishna, his first authorized editor. Back to you, Ram Raghava Prabhu. Thank you very much for showing this Bhagavatam.
I'd like to share something that Kevin G posted regarding making offenses to the self-made Guru man. Puranjan, he says, Puranjan Prabhu is a Prabhupada disciple, and he has an audio recording where he tells how he remembered being in Vrindavan with Prabhupada and the devotees, and they were invited to a silent Guru's mutt. This Guru made a vow of silence for 15 years. They went and they saw the silent Guru man was writing on a chalkboard if he wanted water or other things. He would write with chalk to have his disciples serve him. Puranjan Prabhu saw Prabhupada start to criticize this Guru man, saying, he is cheap, he hasn't followed his vow of silence. See, he wants something, so he writes it, and continued to criticize this man. Then the man stood up from his chair and stomped his foot at Prabhupada. And Prabhupada said, he's angry. He's still attached. So Puranjan Prabhu concluded that Srila Prabhupada was showing the devotees that we call out fake gurus when we see them. Hare Krishna. And then there's a question from the YouTube live stream. John asks, What is ecstatic devotion?
Ecstatic devotion, I'll let Ishan Prabhu comment on that.
The
Hare
symptoms,
Krishna.
the symptoms are described in our literature, and everyone should read them. Take an hour or so a day at least, and read our books, and read Nectar of Devotion. The symptoms are there in detail. But one of the symptoms is complete detachment from every material desire. That's a starting point. That's the negative side. On the positive side, when will my, Lord Chaitanya's praise, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love while I chant the holy name? When will my voice be choked up with feelings of ecstasy when I chant the holy name? These are symptoms. But there are books in Vaishnava library of these symptoms, but that's a good start.
Hare Krishna. Let us offer our respectful obeisances to all the assembled Vaishnavas. Vanchakalpa tarobhyascha kripa sindubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances. We all offer our respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord who can fulfill the desires of everyone, just like desire trees, and who are full of compassion for the fallen souls. Thanks everybody for participating in this lively reading and discussion. Thanks Ram Raghava Prabhu in Georgia, Ishan Prabhu in Silver City, New Mexico, and in his beautiful ashram and temple. Vijay Pandit in Italy. Come stai? Come va, Prabhu? Come va?
Bene, bene, Prabhu. Oggi
Molto bene.
Sadhusanga.
Molto bene.
Molto bene. Sì, sì, sì. Molto bene.
Very good.
These classes are wonderful, Prabhu. This Sangha is very special.
Very
and
good.
Since you began a new section of this, much better than before.
Okay.
Really.
Very good. Thank your associates and Prabhus and Mataji over there. Very much appreciated. And thanks to everybody who participated in this class. I realize it goes on for a little bit of time, but we greatly appreciate your participation. Next week, we will be discussing Julun Yatra and Lord Balaram's Appearance Day. Very, very special. We'll be preparing a beautiful offering. So thank you again for participating. Let us proceed with Prabhupada chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,